Hey guys, what's up? Chef Hamel here, and today I'm going to be doing a sushi demonstration via Zoom with my students to show them how to make sushi firsthand. Typically in the fourth quarter of the school year, we do international cuisine. And so there's a lot of really fun recipes that the students are missing out on right now, which breaks my heart because it really is the most fun part of the year, in my opinion. And typically I have one of my friends come in and make sushi with the students, and so I thought this would be a really fun demonstration to do with them, and I just happen to have all of the ingredients in my home. So I hope that you enjoy this video and learn something new about sushi. It is actually not as intimidating to make at home as it may seem. So if you have any questions at all, please comment down below, and I'm going to put a bunch of recipes and links in the description as well. And hope you enjoy. So we need some tools and some specific things to get started when making sushi. And one of them is a bamboo mat. So I actually wrapped it in some saran wrap so the rice doesn't stick to it, but this is what we're going to use once we make our rice to actually roll and shape the sushi roll. So we have that. We have the sheets of nori, which is the roasted seaweed sheets, which either can go on the outside of the roll like this, or they could go inside. Oh, Breeze is joining. Or inside the roll with the rice on the outside. We have, now as far as fillings are concerned, I don't really have many options because, you know, quarantine. So I have some shrimp that I'm gonna tempura batter and fry. I have some radish, some carrots. What else do I have? I have some green beans, which I'm gonna try to somehow add in. I don't know how. And then I have some smoked salmon or lox, which I'm gonna add to with some cream cheese. Oh, and I have avocado. This is the sushi rice that we're using today. Oop. So it is a short grain rice. So I'm sure all of you guys have had white rice, right? White rice is like a very long, skinny grain of rice, whereas sushi rice, it's gonna be hard to tell on the computer here, but it's a very short grain, like short and kind of like stubby looking grain. And it's very, very starchy, so it's gonna stick together, which is what we need for the sushi roll. So when we actually make sushi rice, unlike regular rice, we have to rinse it in water until the water is completely clear and rid of all that starch. So I'm gonna show you guys. All right, so I have my cup of rice. I'm gonna place it in here, and we need to rinse the rice until the water is no longer cloudy from the starches. So it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see the water is getting a little bit cloudy. And that's all the starch that's in the rice. I'm gonna swish it around. And I'm gonna drain my water, and I'm gonna do this about probably like 5 or 6 times. So I have my pot. I'm hoping this is enough rice, but how much sushi can I eat? Add my rice to the pot. And usually when we make rice, like regular long grain rice, we boil the water first and then add the rice. But this, it all gets started at the same time. So. So that is on boil. Does anyone remember what type of radish this is?
No, but it was nasty.
No. What kind of fruit does it maybe kind of sort of resemble?
Watermelon.
Watermelon.
Watermelon. So it's a watermelon radish because it has a really nice pink center. So I'm gonna julienne or finely cut into little matchsticks our radish for the inside. Because, you know, I'm limited on ingredients here. So I'm gonna cut some nice thin slices of our radish. Has that really beautiful pink center. And then I am going to cut my matchsticks. We have to make sure everything's cut really small because it obviously has to fit into our sushi roll. Beautiful. That should be good. Maybe I could always cut more. And we have some carrot, so I am going to peel my carrot. Clean off my cutting board. Ah! Tripping over things. I'm going to do the same thing with my carrot. I want nice little thin matchsticks, so I'm going to cut off one side and then put my carrot on the flat side so it doesn't wiggle. And I'm going to cut my thin panels. And then I need to cut my carrot into the little matchsticks. My cutting board. And I need to peel the little shell off the tail of the shrimp because obviously the shrimp are going inside my sushi roll and you don't want to eat the shell. So I'm going to peel all those off just like that. And then because shrimp like to curl when they cook, we actually need to skewer these so that when they fry, that they fry straight so we can actually roll them in our sushi roll. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Have you guys ever had shrimp tempura before? Fried shrimp? So good.
No, not really.
What's the Irish one? What's the Irish one? What's the Irish one?
Alright.
No, what's the Irish?
So I have my shrimp. So now what I'm going to do is I actually need to make little cuts along the kind of inside part of the shrimp so that I can straighten it out. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to make little tiny cuts so that's actually nice and straight like that. And I'm going to use a skewer. I have these little wooden skewers that I use for the grill. And I'm going to skewer it so that when it cooks, it's going to cook really nice and straight in our batter. We need to make the tempura batter. So tempura batter is a traditional Japanese batter that they fry shrimp in. They fry a lot of vegetables in tempura batter. And all it is flour with some cornstarch. I'm actually going to add some salt in. And then some sort of carbonated liquid. So I'm just using seltzer water, carbonated water. And just like this. and we want a really nice batter. And the reason we use the carbonated water is because it's going to make the batter really nice and airy. And when the batter hits the fryer oil, or the oil, it's going to make it like a really nice fluffy batter, which is what we want. Just whisking. We're gonna let this batter sit a minute or two. We need to let our oil heat up anyway. Plus we want the flour in the batter to absorb all of the liquid. So shrimp doesn't take a long time to cook, so it's not really gonna take that much time. But we do want the batter to be nice and golden brown. So these two should be done, our first two. I'm going to take them out and just put them on a paper towel lined plate for now. But you can see that batter got really, really puffy from the salsa water. It's really nice and light and crispy. So I'm going to take my green beans with some tongs and get it right in the tempura batter and drop them right in. Looking for a nice golden brown color. And it'll add a really nice crunch because the green beans themselves are crunchy, and then the batter on the outside is going to be really nice and crunchy. So I'm going to add my rice to this bowl. And I'm going to spread it out because I need to release all that steam so that it cools down. So I'm going to spread it kind of along the sides of the bowl. And I need to take my vinegar It smells delish. So it has, the vinegar is rice vinegar with a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar. I'm just gonna lightly kind of drizzle it on our rice and mix it up, and then I'm gonna taste it to see if it needs any more salt or any more sugar, any more vinegar. Oh, William's joining.
Hi, William.
Let's see. Get my fork and see. Needs a little bit more. Oh, it tastes really good. Yum. Alrighty. Move a bunch of this stuff out of my way. So my rice is set. I'm gonna spread it along the sides of my bowl just so it has more surface area to cool off. And let that cool. Ooh! Oh my goodness. Cool a second. Now I need to, I'm gonna toast my sheets of nori or my seaweed paper just so it tastes a little fresher. Now you could toast these over an open flame like the burners at school, but I don't have gas burners at home. So I'm just gonna toast it in the oven at a low temperature for a few minutes. So I just have a baking sheet here, and I'm gonna lay a bunch on the baking sheet and toast it for a few minutes on a low temperature in my oven just to give it a little bit of freshness. Alrighty, so my nori or my sheets of seaweed are toasted, so they're a little crunchier now. So you guys you're not gonna be able to see probably on the computer, but there is a smooth side of the seaweed and a rough side. The rough side is going to be the side that we put the rice on. The rice will stick to that side. And there's also little like perforations or like lines in the seaweed that you can use to kind of cut depending upon what you're making with it. But I'm just actually gonna trim this a little because I don't need all of the seaweed. And I am going to put my bamboo mat down, and I'm going to put my seaweed on top with the rough side facing up. I'm going to do the rice on the outside of my sushi roll. So I'm gonna wet my hands in the water, and I'm gonna take some rice, and I need to very gently and in a thin layer place it down on my nori or on my seaweed. If it gets sticky, put my hands in some more water. And I'm gonna, you don't want to smush it down too much. I'm gonna go to the edge I'm just leaving a tiny little border on the one side. And the rest I'm very gently spreading out. Just like that. Now it always looks pretty if you put some sesame seeds on the outside of your sushi roll. So I am going to take some of these sesame seeds that are black and white mixed together. And I'm just gonna sprinkle some on the outside of my rice, just because it'll look really nice and pretty. Now I'm going to flip my rice over as gently as I can. And now I get to fill it, which is the fun part. So I am going to use, let's see, what do I want to use? I've got so much stuff here. I'm going to use some avocado. And I'm just putting everything kind of in a line because we need to roll it like a, kind of like a burrito. So I have my avocado. You want everything to kind of go right to the end. Beautiful. Let me wash my hands. Now, you need, I'm gonna use some of these tempura shrimp. So I'm gonna do about 4 shrimp. See if I can squeeze them in here. Just like that. I don't think I'm gonna add anything else to it. Maybe some carrot. Just for a little bit of color. And some crunch. You want everything to be even so that when you cut the pieces of sushi that you get the same ingredients in every single bite. So now is the fun part. You're going to use the bamboo mat to help you roll up the sushi, and you want to make sure it is really nice and tight so that your ingredients aren't loose. So I'm pulling my mat forward, but I'm using my hand on top to kind of keep my sushi roll nice and tight. So it is nice and rolled together, and I'm just going to use my mat to kind of shape it really nicely to make sure it's all even and nice and tight. And we have a beautiful little sushi roll.
Beautiful.
So now I'm going to place it onto my cutting board, and I need to cut it up. So let me get a plate so I can put these finished ones on. I need a bigger counter. All right. So I'm going to use my knife. Let me actually give it a nice rinse first. All right. So I'm going to use my knife to cut it into equal pieces, but sometimes the rice likes to stick to your knife. So what I'm going to actually do is take a little bit of water and just dab it on either side of my knife. Hopefully the rice won't stick to it. And you want to use a really sharp knife for this. And you're going to cut it directly in half in the center, being very careful that you don't break the sushi roll. Some rice will fall off, and that's okay. Make sure you add a little bit more water. Now you're going to cut each half in half again. Very gently. Same thing on the other side. And now each of these pieces is going to get cut in half. So each sushi roll will give you 8 pieces. It's falling apart a little, but that's okay. Make sure you wet your knife. And there we go. So, take a middle piece here to show you. We have our beautiful little shrimp tempura roll with some avocado and some carrot. So beautiful. So I'm going to arrange them on a plate. And they actually sell sushi making kits online, so to get all of these ingredients, it actually comes with everything in like one box. So if you want to make it at home, that's kind of how I started making sushi at home. Beautiful. Just gonna scrape this rice, put it back in the bowl, because why not reuse it? Alright. So I'll make probably 2 more sushi rolls, and then I'll let you guys go. So, let me take my piece of nori, and I'm gonna trim it again. And you could eat these little scraps as a snack. They're delicious. So I am going to, I'll make this one a maki roll, which means that the seaweed is going to be on the outside. So I'm going to take my rough side, face that up, and I need to spread my rice on it. So I'm going to dip my hands in the water. I'm going to take some rice. And I want to leave a little bit of a border on this one at the top and the bottom of the seaweed, because that's where it's gonna kind of close, since the rice is going to be on the inside on this roll. Alrighty, so I have my rice. So for this one, I think I'm going to do I believe it's called a Philadelphia roll. So it is some smoked salmon with some cream cheese. So I have some cream cheese here in a Ziploc bag that I'm using in lieu of a pastry bag. And I'm just going to squeeze some out into my rice. Make a nice line. I don't want too much. And then I want to add some crunch to this besides the smoked salmon. So I'm probably, in addition to the smoked salmon, going to add some of the radish. I think that would be good. So I have some smoked salmon here, which is pretty much just like cured salmon. Right, so a lot of people put this on bagels, which is delicious. So I'm going to take a piece, and I'm just going to lay this across my sushi roll, right on top of the cream cheese. Have you guys ever had smoked salmon before?
Yes.
Do you like it?
Yes.
It's good. So I'm going to lay some of the radish on top. Plus the radish is going to make it really nice and pretty because it's like that pinkish purple color. Alrighty. Now I'm gonna roll it up. So I'm gonna use my fingers to kind of hold the ingredients in place. And then I'm gonna pull the bamboo mat forward as I kind of roll the sushi roll. So you want it really nice and tight. And I'm gonna use the mat to shape it and make sure it's all really, really nice and tight. And this is our maki roll, which has the seaweed on the outside. So, same thing as before, I need to cut my sushi roll, and I'm going to use a tiny bit of water just to make it easier on my knife. And I'm going to cut my sushi roll in half. And then I'm going to cut each half in half. And then each half and half again. It's a little bit easier to cut these with the seaweed on the outside as opposed to the rice on the outside. And there we go, our little sushi roll.
It's beautiful.
I wish I could share.
You could deliver.
I'll drive to everybody's house and drop off some sushi.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
So this is the finished product. The sushi came out absolutely amazing. My students, I think, really enjoyed seeing how to make it, and it definitely was a nice break from their homeschool classes to get a nice one-on-one cooking demonstration. So if you have any questions about making sushi at home, please comment below. I'm going to leave a bunch of helpful descriptions and recipes in the description, and thank you so much for watching.